welcome to the training session regarding managing and developing people. My name is Nicolette Newman and I work for Acciona. So the agenda for today is covering recruitment processes, the principles and the processes, effective management, development plan, and then I'm hoping that the objective of today is that you go away with something that you either learn that's fresh or it just reminds you in terms of what is a good way of developing and managing others in your team. So why is it important in terms of understanding the principles of onboarding the right person within your organization? We'll take a look at that now. So so the recruitment process and principles, it is very important that you do advertise correctly in terms of the job description and how you on the person that you want that will suit the job, so that when it comes to recruiting and interviewing that person, you know exactly what you need within your business. In terms of the stages of recruitment, it is also very important that once you've gone through the stages of recruiting an individual, that you do keep in touch with them between the offer and when they start within your business. It's important to get and select the right talent. Attracting individuals is one thing, but actually once they're in the organization, you need to make sure that you're able to develop, motivate them to stay within your organization, because as Ben Schneider refers to here, he says, he made this statement: recruitment is not just about finding the right talent, but it's also about attracting individuals who will thrive within your organization environment and contribute to the company's success. These are the 3 stages of recruitment, although there's 3 headings, but there's 5 steps in terms of the way that you would recruit someone within the organization, giving them the right tools to do their job, but also giving them objectives at the first instance, so that they're able to identify what their role is, what they need to do in the role, the expectations for the company, and also regularly feeding back or giving them feedback in order to correct any perhaps behaviours or conducts or even the work standards. It's important to keep the communication flowing. I think Generation Y, whether you fall in the Generation Y or Z, different I think different age groups have different standards. I find that, you know, years ago, the standards that were perhaps acceptable then are not so much acceptable now. So the company will give you a good induction so that you know exactly what to expect going forward. Now, in terms of recruitment, there are 9 protected characteristics. You should get to know those 9, but you know, in particular when you're recruiting, it's good to think about disability, you know, about race, not to ask questions about you know, individuals' personal lifestyles. Those sort of questions are a no. So, but also it is good to try and recruit perhaps from underrepresented groups. Obviously, if they show the right talent and they have the right attitude. Now, I've gone back. Sorry, my slides. So typically the tips for handling performance. So you've got the individual is now started, or she has started within your organization. The purpose of making sure that you do tackle any issues with performance is having that conversation where you can manage that individual. It's best to explain the purpose of the meeting. If you do have any issues with them, encourage self-assessment in all the time, but you need to get their views in terms of how they feel they're doing. It might be that we haven't inducted them correctly. So give them examples of perhaps if you think there's been poor performance or poor behaviors, and never leave this to, a week, 2 weeks down the line. Any issues, please address it straight away so that there's no surprises at any meetings that you hold with the individual. Do not compare others with them. It's what they're doing as opposed to them. Give them real examples of any issues that have come up, but encourage them to provide solutions to those issues. So be mindful when you're holding those meetings that you do hold them in a confidential space, that you manage their emotions. It might be that they get upset. You may have to adjourn the meeting and come back, but making sure that you address the issues and not the individuals. Investigate any complaints and deal with any grievances that they might share with you. Okay, so engagement. Engagement is very important. We speak about having the right people in your organization, but if you don't engage with those individuals, then there will be issues when it comes to keeping those people motivated. Let's have a look at this picture, which doesn't seem to be working. Okay, so what do you think this person is feeling? Do you think they're engaged or disengaged? Right, so 16.8% on average in the UK, employees, say 16.8% of employees in the UK leave their job, as studies from UK Money suggest, and it's purely because that they feel disengaged with the job that they are doing. They say that 1 in 3 employees have left their jobs due to poor management. And the Chartered Management Institute say that 82% of bosses are accidental managers, i.e., perhaps they've been put in a job, but actually they've not been trained to manage people. And they have no formal training. So 50% of employees rate their managers as ineffective, and they're literally planning to leave the company within the next 12 months. So that is the impact and the effect that poor management can have on employees. So it is a two-way thing. It's, employees need to do their job at the correct standards, but also managers, employers need to also ensure that they are engaged with their employees. Now, once you have an engaged employee, you will have performance will improve, productivity will go up, customer service and satisfaction will also go up, and the effective team working will also be a good part. The team morale will be good. You'll get more commitment from the individual, and then it will also impact in a positive way on employee turnover, and therefore the company reputation will then go up and people will want to work for the organization. Now, let's have a look at some factors here. So there are factors here that show, outline what job satisfaction and motivation, what sort of things will motivate, but also it's also key to know that there's certain factors that will create dissatisfaction with employees. So if we look at this, if you really want to motivate and engage your staff, you need to be ensuring that they are able to, within their work environment, they're able to achieve the tasks, be recognised for what they do, have responsibility and personal growth. That's the sort of things that will motivate individuals. But dissatisfied employees will come under the hygiene or maintenance aspects, which is, if you're going to supervise, micromanage people, work conditions, all of these things at the bottom will create dissatisfaction. This is something that an employee would expect anyway. So once you start an organization, they will expect that anyway. So if those are the only things that you can offer, then you will have dissatisfaction in your teams. So the purpose of making sure that you have a development plan for your individual is to ensure that motivation is always at the forefront. If people feel motivated, they will perform their jobs well, and turnover will be low. Here we've got Hertzi and Blanchard, psychologists, that situational leadership. So this is tailoring in terms of appraisals, having those discussions with employees, making sure that it's that time to eyeball your employee and to have frank discussions to ensure you know what their aspirations are, so that when it comes to their development, you know what they want, you know what makes them tick, you give them the appropriate supportive and environment, and you can facilitate their growth. And if you do that, that's when you will get the motivated employee within your business. Now, here is a little diagram here where it talks about a review. So do you hold reviews with your employees? If not, you should at least have monthly reviews to see how they're getting on, but certainly sitting down with them properly twice a year to set objectives, and then to meet with them to see how they're going mid-year. Practical tips for handling poor performance is, as we mentioned, making sure you sit down with them, assessing them, encouraging them, providing solutions, and then giving them examples. But if you do this, the performance will improve. You will get the individual motivated. You got them in terms of a development plan, and constantly giving them good and bad feedback that will make sure that they're on track. This will help in any organization. So in terms of a development plan, then, what should that look like? Well, when you have development plans, you will always have goals in there, see impacts on their motivation. Training can not always have to be on the course. It could be on the job training, it could be buddying, it could be coaching with someone in your organization, but the person should be continually learning. And as I said, it's not always about course, but making sure that they are developing. The vision, what is the company's vision? What is their vision? What are they able to, what do they visualize? What do they want to do? What they want to do in the next 3 to 5 years, where do they want to be in your organization? So maybe, tracking out a career path for them. And all of these aspects will help to keep their vision and their development pathway clear. On to the next notes in terms of any issues that you do have if you need to speak to someone, ACAS there to provide you with help and support. Even for the employer and the employee, there's a helpline. They also provide lots of training tools for your organisation. There's also digital and in-person training. Do you have an employee assist program? That's another avenue in which employees can get support from that resource. But ACAS is a good place to go. We at Acciona are also prepared to offer any support and help with any employee issues. We're here to also help you with any issues that you have. And then we come to any questions. It's just a short whistle-stop tour on what we are doing in terms of development and managing people. Hopefully that's been useful in some way, but please reach out to us if you need to.